Hello everyone, so welcome back to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about what types of manuscript editing or book editing services are available in India, how much you should pay for those, and what will be a perfect suitable editing service for your book. So let's get into the video, guys. So let's first talk about copy editing or basic editing. People also call copy editing as basic editing. This majorly deals with your book's grammar corrections, punctuational corrections, and also consistency corrections. So grammar, of course, you understand that there are grammatical mistakes. When we write something, there are many grammatical mistakes we do. It could be related to verbs, it could be related to, let's say, tenses, or so many other things can happen, right? So the editor will make sure it is a grammatically correct book. They will not do anything else apart from grammar. They will also look at the consistency. Now, what do we mean by consistency? We mean, let's say, many times we use British and American English, and especially Indians, we have this problem of using different words. Some are from British English, some are from American English. For example, if you use the word color, so this word is color, it is from American English, but if you are using a British English word, you should use COLOUR. So if you are following British English, you should consistently use only British English words, and if you are following American, then you should use only American English words. And if you switch too many times in between, then it confuses the readers and also dilutes their I would say mood to read your book, and that's where you need editor's help to correct everything into this. Okay, now let's talk about charges for copy editing or basic editing. So the charges for copy editing and basic editing ranges from 10 paisa to 70 paisa per word in India, basically. So when you talk about 10 paisa or 20 paisa or 30 paisa, it is generally charged by inexperienced freelancers or some companies which are just providing fraud services using Grammarly or some other tools, and they do not employ human editors for editing the books. So that's where they charge these type of charges, 10 to 30 paisa per word generally. When we talk about higher range, let's say 60 paisa, 70 paisa, it is most of the times charged by freelancers which are either too qualified that they do not need to charge lesser for their work, or maybe they do not get regular projects. That is why they are charging higher, because they need to make sure they earn something when any projects converts. Okay, but a good or an ideal range would be somewhere about 40 paisa to 50 paisa per word. If you hire any genuine company which has been providing editing services for a couple of years, they would be charging somewhere about this range, 40 to 50 paisa per word. And although there are some experienced freelancers which might charge a little lesser, but this is an ideal range. 40 to 50 paisa is an ideal range for copy editing. So let's talk about line editing or comprehensive editing. So along with grammar corrections and consistency corrections, line editing also works towards your book's sentence structures. Okay, so it corrects the sentence structures. You might be using some weak sentences in your book. You might be using too many weird sentences or unnatural sentences. People who generally write their books using AI have this problem at a very whole new level, that their whole book is structured very poorly. The sentence structures are very weak and very weird sounding structures. Okay, so line editing corrects those. Most of the authors, this is the most preferred editing services. Even if you ask me, my recommendation would be every author should choose at least comprehensive editing services if their budget allows, because this is where you see the real beauty comes out of your book. Now, when you're talking about comprehensive editing, there are a couple of other things that goes into this. For example, the comprehensive editing or the line editing also deals with the contextual edits. So based on the context, they make some edits in the book. Okay, then they also work towards the vocabulary. They improve the vocabulary of the book. Line editing and comprehensive editing also deals with developmental suggestions. Now, what are developmental suggestions? So when you're writing a book, there are some places where you might have hurried too fast. You might have just paced your novel too fast or your book too fast. You might have also skipped a few things. Maybe it could be a plot hole that you have created in your book because of not paying proper attention. So in line editing or comprehensive editing, the editor will not correct it, but it will just mark it that this place there is a plot hole, you should correct it. They might even give the suggestions how you can write it, but they will not do it themselves. Okay, because in line editing it is not done. In developmental they do it, but not in line editing. So they will give you developmental level suggestions. So these are majority of the things that happen into line editing and comprehensive editing. Now let's talk about the charges for line editing and comprehensive editing. So line editing charges ranges from 30 paisa to 1 rupee per word, while 30 paisa, 40 paisa, 50 paisa generally being charged by inexperienced freelancers again, or some companies which are using AI tools nowadays to edit books. While if you talk about the higher range like 1 rupee per word or 80 paisa or I would say 90 paisa, these charges are generally charged by experienced freelancers, but they do not get regular projects. That's when they charge higher. In my experience and in my opinion, the ideal range would be to pay somewhere about 60 paisa to 70 or 75 paisa at max. And these charges are, by the way, without GST. I'm just talking about charges without GST. So even for the copy editing, my charges were whatever charge I told you were without GST. If some company is charging GST, there will be additional. Okay. So now let's talk about developmental editing. So apart from doing the things that already happen in line editing and copy editing, developmental editing also works on your plot holes. It also works on your pacing, action sequence. So there is so many things that happen. Even sometimes developmental editing, inside developmental editing, you will see that editors are literally rewriting whole paragraphs. Okay, there is like heavy level of editing. It is generally recommended for people who are not too good with language, or maybe they are just newbie, they do not know anything about writing. They just wanted to write a book, they just wrote it, but now they are not sure if their concept is correct, or if, let's say, sometimes fact checking is also involved and sometimes it is not. So you need to confirm with the company or the freelancer. Otherwise, most of the times it just deals with the restructuring on a whole new level, and also some plot hole corrections, and also some actions. They can even rewrite your dialogues. They can even, like, whatever we saw in, like, editing of line editing and comprehensive editing, where they were just giving suggestions. Here they even work on it and correct it. Okay, so developmental editing is the most extensive type of editing. The charges for it literally ranges from 70 paisa or 80 paisa per word to even 2 rupees per word. Now again, 70-80 paisa or even up to 90 paisa generally charged by inexperienced freelancers. But when you talk about experienced people, they charge somewhere about, like, 1.5 to even 2. Again, it is an expensive side. You might not want to go that high because it will be too expensive for you. While there are many companies which are genuine and they also provide developmental editing services, but their charges are somewhere about 1 rupee to 1.3 rupees or something. This is an ideal range to pay for developmental editing. Okay, and developmental editing is generally not recommended to everybody, but developmental editing is recommended to someone who have a lot of plot holes in their books, or maybe they are just, they do not know anything about writing, they just wrote a book. That's when they need. So most of the people, in conclusion, most of the people in India are recommended for comprehensive editing or line editing, while copy editing being recommended to only those people who do not have enough budget, or maybe they are too good with writing but they just need some grammar correction, somebody to look at their book from the grammar perspective. Or the developmental editing is suggested only to those people who are, like, newbies, just like I told you some time ago. Now, apart from all these considerations, like, seeing the charges and also the types of editing and how you should decide, is there anything else you need to remember? Yes, there is one more thing. That is, if you use Grammarly to do anything for your book, okay, nowadays people are using Grammarly to edit their books. They were using before also, but at least that time Grammarly was not restructuring it in another level that how it is doing today. Okay, because now if you restructure your book using Grammarly, you restructure your sentences using Grammarly, what will happen is, firstly, it will be flagged as AI written sentences. Okay, so even though you genuinely wrote your book, it will be flagged as AI written. The grammar corrections of Grammarly are also not correct always, because it does not understand the context. So sometimes even grammar corrections are not correct. So you need to be very sure if you are using Grammarly, because Grammarly is not perfect tool to edit books. The best recommendation would be, if you can afford, to go for comprehensive, if not at least for copy editing, and that too from professional people who have experience of a couple of years, and they have some brand image, they have a lot of reviews, maybe on Google, maybe there are video testimonials or whatever, or maybe you talk to people who have already taken their services. But just be sure that you are taking editing services from a genuine company. And or if you even find a freelancer, just be very sure, because nowadays many people using AI tools are editing books and calling themselves as editors, and we get like countless requests, like submissions of people who are just editing books using AI and just faking themselves as editors while they have no experience. When we ask them the books they have edited, they have nothing to show. And when they submit the editing and we check it into CopyLeaks or some other AI detected tools, they are all like AI written. So just be aware, guys. Nowadays it is very essential to make sure that you choose a human editor who does a very good job. All right, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you're not subscribed to our channel, please do, because we are posting regular videos about books marketing, editing, writing, and also publishing. And if you want to talk to us for any services related to books editing, cover design, also books marketing, book launches, and also my consultation, then you can talk to us from www.rollingauthors.com. Thank you so much for your time. See you again.